You ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome to the first Coach's Corner episode where we put two coaches, one a high school coach and one a professional soccer coach, in the same virtual room, and we see what happens. My name is Will Selden. As you may have guessed, I'm the high school coach part of this, and this is Darren Sawatzky, my partner in crime, and the head coach and sporting director of the Richmond Kickers. Darren, thank you so much for joining me. How are you, first and foremost?
Doing great, man. Hold in
Yeah,
and isolated like everybody.
I know. Likewise. How's the family? How are y'all coping?
Yeah, really well. My wife keeps me busy on stuff to do, and we make sure we're out taking walks and that stuff. Probably not much different than a lot of people outside of the work part.
Yeah, that's true. You keep them busy though on the work side of things, I hear.
Yeah, we jumped on it right away. We have a big stay-at-home training plan for each of our individual players, and
Hmm.
we've worked hard to develop that, and we're going to keep doing that. The guys have video analysis to do and stuff related to just staying tuned in and earning their paycheck and getting ready for the season to start.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think one of the interesting things that a lot of groups talk about is kind of shifting the focus from how you can interact in person to how you can interact virtually. And one thing that I noticed, and might be kind of the elephant in the room, is you let your beard go a little bit, which is cool. It looks good. It suits you. Is that something you're doing personally, or just is that something else we should know about?
Well, I appreciate that you said it suits me.
It
I'm not
does.
sure. I'm one of the things that we did when this thing came about was, I told the guys trying to take a little bit of pressure off them and help them mentally. It's just like, hey, let's do a Beardapalooza and see what you guys got, and
So it's
so
got a name as well then.
yeah, well, I'm an 80s and 90s rocker. I used to have long hair and all that stuff. So there was this rock concert show. It was called Lollapalooza. It was a
Hmm.
variety rock bands that I used to go to every year. So it just popped in my head. But some of the guys have stuck with the beards and they're starting to look a little interesting, similar to me. But
Yeah.
the guys just bailed, or their girlfriends made sure they bailed. So they've
Who,
they've
who
up.
who's rocking the best one?
Kyle Venter started. He had a bit of a start, but I got a
That's
feel
true.
he's going to be in the ZZ Top category at some point, and then.
Yeah.
Some of the younger guys, Luca's definitely got a nice beard going, and our Argentinian striker Emiliano he's looking very frothy at the moment.
Is that right? That's a good word to describe it. Well, I think it's super cool. I had one up until you issued the contest. I remember you talking about it a little bit, and then like a lot of other people, I was getting bored in quarantine, so I shaved mine off so I can start fresh now and see if I can compete as well. But I think it's got some catching up to do for sure.
The beauty of it is, at this moment we have time.
That's true. The beauty and the curse, I guess. For the Beardapalooza, we got the beauty of it. Um, so I guess from a coaching perspective, obviously, this whole thing is kind of centered around the dynamic between me, kind of a young, inexperienced coach, but someone who loves the game, and you who have obviously been around the block and have a pretty important position in the Richmond sports community. It's interesting to me all the different things y'all are doing and you and the other coaching staff are kind of implementing in this crazy, random, unprecedented time. Um, so can you talk a little bit more about how you interact with the guys and keep their minds ticking over, keep their bodies ticking over? I mean, I know it's tough not being able to interact in person, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll start with one thing you made me think of when you were talking about this being unprecedented, and we're working very hard to try to give the guys as much as makes sense to them, in terms
Hmm.
of how to learn, whether that's video analysis or their individual group training, which I'm sure most clubs are doing something to that effect. But a lot of times process dictates outcome, and one of the things that's kind of come to light is as a coaching staff, we're really getting an understanding on how players look at the game. And you alluded to the fact that you're an inexperienced coach. Well, maybe you haven't coached as many soccer games as I have, but you have a perspective based on your history and what you've grown up with and who you grew up
Hmm.
with, where you played. And to get that perspective from the pro players here has been really enlightening, because, we think a certain thing when we look at a player, and we would have never have had the opportunity to learn things about these guys that we have the time now to do. And it actually makes it easier and better for us to learn how to help them in our coaching based on how we know they look at the game. And that's been enlightening. Like it's amazing what you learn about people and what they care about. And when you figure out the things that are going on in their life, it really helps you understand why they play the way they do. As it relates to how and what we're doing, we have a pretty comprehensive individual training plan to keep them physically fit, like most, I'm sure. But one of the things that we're trying to work hard on, in not being psychologists, but trying to help the mental part of this. So we interact a lot. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I mean, one of the things that I've come to realize in my short coaching career, if you will, I mean, the vast majority of my soccer life has been on the playing side of things. And so it's interesting to kind of bridge the gap and go on the coaching side of things. And I remember different interactions and relationships that I'd had with coaches, and the coaches that really connected me were the ones that kind of allowed my personal experience and the situation and station in my life that I was in to influence decisions that they made. And I think that, you put it into words much more easily than I could have. But I think that's super important, that the people that you work with kind of dictate, and the people that you work with and the situations that they can bring to the table kind of dictate how you treat them and different things that you learn and stuff like that. That's an interesting nugget. I should write that down just so I don't forget it. That's cool.
We were really lucky when I was working in Major League Soccer. I was part of the first group of academy directors to take the French formation license. And, that thing was a super comprehensive, quasi master's degree, and in all of the things related to child development and coaching and training soccer. And one of the things that we learned a lot about was pedagogy, basically the art and delivery of the message to kids. And one of the interesting things was they taught us about andragogy, which is art and delivery with adults. And it's different because with pedagogy, you can talk to kids and you have a way of delivering that that they take in information well.
Yeah.
And it was related to, you deliver information to adults and older people based on knowing what their history in life is.
Interesting.
I think that's what you're getting at. And not to get too academic, but
no, I appreciate that. I mean, it's useful to put a term to the idea for sure. That's interesting. I think it can be obviously applied to other areas besides soccer as well, but we'll stick to soccer because that's obviously our wheelhouse a little bit. Well, that's cool. I mean, so you mentioned the kind of technical and tactical side of things that you guys have been doing with the team. Is there anything that you've been doing personally to try to keep your mental health and physical health going? I know that you're super busy and it's probably tough to find time, but as you mentioned, that's all we have right now. So any advice?
I think we have a lot more time. I mean, I'm a bit of a busy individual. I try to keep myself busy. This has kept me on a workout schedule, which is good because
that's good.
I like Oreo cookies. So if I didn't do that, I'd get rounder by the day. So
yeah, I'm with you.
I make sure I work out every day. I read a lot. I'm in the process of really journaling and writing down thoughts and really trying to get to the depth of things that I believe and all that type of stuff. Just based on how it relates to the game itself. What is it that we want to accomplish? How do we want to accomplish it? And really delving into that. So I stay busy. We're on video calls every day with players and other coaches and the league. So it's keeping me busy.
You certainly are busy. That's cool. Are you a big journaler? Have you always been, or is that something that has come about because of this pandemic?
It's something that's very, very interesting. I don't think it's very, very interesting. Something that I have always done is I record everything. So I call them, my training Bibles. I have a book that I keep everything in, and we obviously log every training session that we do electronically, but also I keep my own log, and afterwards I'll talk about it. So in general, I journal things, how did a player perform? What did they do? What was the response? What was the discussion? And it really becomes a dossier for that player. And it also becomes
Yeah.
something where I look back and it becomes my methodology.
Interesting. So from a professional side of things, you do a lot of journaling. That's cool. That's something to take forward for sure. I
Very,
guess,
very important.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. I guess the last thing um, is maybe without kind of diminishing the craziness of this whole situation and how devastating it's been for the world. Um, but I think that a lot of people are trying to kind of spin it and see what they can take out of it and how things are maybe going to change positively moving forward. I think, just general like public health practices will improve drastically. And um, from a soccer perspective, are there anything or is there anything that you've been able to do or that you've included in your kind of daily routine during this crisis that you think will help you going forward? Or do you think it's more just like, can't wait to get back to the normal swing of things?
Um, Interesting question.
Yeah.
And two real parts to that. What I would say is my mental mindset is based on opportunity versus challenge. And I say challenge is kind of the negative side. My point is, I look at it as an opportunity, alluding to the fact that I wouldn't have known some things about the players on my team if we didn't go through
Hmm.
the process. So there's a great opportunity in that for me to learn and grow. I think that, again, process dictates outcome a little bit. I'm going to learn a lot more about what I think and feel about people and groups and stadiums full of people and how
Yeah.
you interact. I'm a tactile person, which means I shake hands a lot. I hug people. I care generally about people. So how that's affected coming out of this is going to be really interesting.
It's going to be big. Yeah.
Well, you got to
I think
respect
so.
people's space. And I don't think it's going to change my behavior much. I still think I will want to be tactile with people, but
Hmm.
I also need to understand that I have to respect other people in that this creates great anxiety
Yeah.
in some people, and you have to help them get through that. So
Yeah.
it's interesting for sure.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how long that kind of lasts. I mean, I know that as soon as bans and stuff are lifted, life will begin to go back to normal, but I don't know how long it's going to take before people are worried about shaking hands or if that'll ever happen again. I mean, it's unprecedented. It really is.
I think that you can take, one of the things that I make sure I do is listen to the people that have the knowledge. I'm a
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
I'm a soccer coach with some education. You talk to me about tactics, I may know something about it. If I want to know about a virus, I talk to an epidemiologist or I listen to an epidemiologist. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily listen to a politician or a soccer coach. I listen to the person who's the expert at that. Same with the economy and stuff. So that's one thing I would say. I definitely adjusted. I'm
Yeah.
studying more and doing it outside of Twitter, Instagram, and even CNN or Fox. I
Hmm.
read on my own to learn what I can learn.
Well, that's pretty impressive. And again, wise words from a wise coach.
Thanks for that.
Of course. Of course. Um, well, I guess just finally, I know you say that you're just a soccer coach, but I think that sports have a huge role to play in a city and kind of the ethos of a city and how people feel around crazy times like this. And I think that we have a responsibility to kind of be a shining light for people. Um, just personally, I don't know if you feel the same, but maybe a message for the city of Richmond, if you will, or the fans of the Richmond Kickers at the very least, just to keep people in the loop and stuff like that.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. We're very lucky to get paid to work with
Yes.
and coach and play within a sport. I take a great pride in that. I think we're definitely role models, both to kids and to people that care about us.
Hmm.
Uh, we have a responsibility to respect that. And in saying that, I am 100% confident that we will play soccer again, that there will be fans in the stands at City
Yep.
Stadium. I think even sooner rather than later. I know that's going to happen in my heart. And the beauty is, this town is awesome. I was at Publix the other day when I was walking around with my nasty beard, and a guy goes, "Hey, aren't you the coach of the Richmond Kickers?" And I'm like, yeah, I am. How you doing? How's your family? And I met this guy, talked to him for about 20 minutes in this store, which is probably not recommended, but we were 6 feet apart. And it was just awesome that, to be a part of that piece of the community, to be
Yeah.
like, hey, we're all both in this together, but hey, it's neat. You're a soccer coach. But I'm like, yeah, hey, how's your daughter? Is she okay? Is
Right.
your wife good? And my point is, City of Richmond, we're going to be back in City Stadium soon enough. We're going to be winning soccer games. We're going to be celebrating together. And no matter what, whatever the challenges are, we are in this together, and the Kickers will be back stronger than ever.
I love it. I'm ready to run through a wall. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I'm looking forward to the future conversations that we have and different topics we can cover, and the wisdom and information that you'll be able to pass down to me. So thank you so much. Looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Have an awesome day.
You too. See ya.